Oh, yes, actually, sorry, let me quickly, just before we go. For any of you who are interested in Twitter, right, there's a Twitter feed currently going with a hashtag of RBC10. That's Romeo Bravo Charlie 10. And there's also a live blog on the Cumberland news site. That's sort of a little bit techie detail. But anyway, let me now take some questions and comments. We'll take 3 at a time. Gentleman at the front, and then the 2 back. So could you speak up a little bit, please?
He's got no microphone.
Right, try again. It's difficult communicating, isn't it? We've got no mobile phone connection. We've got no internet. We have a phone which was replaced a fortnight ago by BT, but it took 8 phone calls to get a replacement phone. So the magnitude of this problem that you've got is really totally horrendous. Now, I came back from Lanzarote at 4 o'clock this morning, and I'd been stood on top of the volcano with a guy talking on a mobile phone, and the road up the volcano was smoother than that. So I think really this proposed £6 tax that was going on everybody's phone bill should be put on, but instead of supporting a high-speed broadband connection in London, should be diverted to the people who have no broadband and no internet connections. What are your comments on that?
Thank you very much. Next gentleman, yeah. Are you able to shout? Or?
Absolutely. My name is Richard Davis. I'm a member of the Lincolnshire County Council. I've got a question for the providers on this. About 4 years ago, without putting it too bluntly, BT took taxpayers' money from the Lincolnshire taxpayer and ran after using their lawyers to win a contract. What assurances can you give the people of Penrith and the Borders that you won't do a BT?
All right, well, thank you very much. Was there somebody up at the back? Did I see a hand up at the back? Yep, right at the very back.
Yeah, Nick Turner from Cumberland News. I'm running the live blog, and there's questions coming in from people who couldn't get tickets.
So we're gonna. There are questions coming into the Cumberland News live blog from people who couldn't get tickets, and I'm running up the stairs with this amazing piece of technology so that the questions from Cumberland News can come in.
Just showing off, running up the stairs. Two that had come in was one was about BT. Why couldn't you provide free access for developers for the fibre network? And the other was a thought on military ground and bases in rural areas. Is there not an opportunity to piggyback there?
Okay, thank you very much. While I'm up here, was there another question up here? Go up. Yeah, we've got Lindsay coming on.
Hi, Lindsay Anderson. I live in a small village called Walcott. This is not BT bashing, but 2 things. If you have given ADSL to 99% of the country, the remaining 1% must be all in Cumbria, and we know that's not the case. You haven't given 99% of the country ADSL. And the second point is, when you say, what do we want? I'm a consumer, every single person here is a consumer. I'll tell you what I want today. I'm a small business, a single mum, I live in a rural area, and I want a gigabit per second today, the same as Korea has, the same as Chattanooga have, and the same as lots of other places want. I don't want BET anywhere near me. I don't want 2 meg. I don't want an asymmetrical service. Please give us what we want. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. Let's pause for those questions for the time being. So, would somebody feeling bold on talking about the question of taxation, maybe, is this something Ofcom feels able to reflect on? Perhaps a gentleman's question from the front? Yeah.
Well, my interpretation of the question was that it was particularly to do with where public funding should be directed, how it should be, how that sort of process should... Absolutely, absolutely. Of course, the The incoming government has moved away from that solution, so that tax is no longer on the table. But nevertheless, and this is really something for Rory to... Sure, that perhaps is a question.
Right, that's sorry, I suppose.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's very good. I suppose that is indeed a question for me. And the answer to that question is, we need to spend public money on getting a solution for you and for everybody in Penrith and the Border. So this conference is about a solution where we hope that you and every other family in Penrith and the Border gets a minimum 2 meg access. And the majority of people get a super fast access. Where that money comes from is not a question for me as a junior member of Parliament, in terms of whether it comes from taxation or whether, as the government proposes, it comes from the Digital Switchover Fund. But the key thing, you're absolutely right, is money needs to be made available to do this. At the moment, something in the region of over £200 million has been made available through the Digital Switchover Fund, and the government is looking for other funding sources. There are 3 NGA pilots running, so you heard Bill Murphy talking about the fact that BT has put in a proposal to do 70% superfast access in Penrith and the Border. He would be bidding partly for government money. That would be match funding. BT would put in money. The government would also put in money if he won that bid. So I agree with you. We need public subsidy to make this happen. I don't think there's any disagreement in the room about that. The question of whether you take that from taxation or whether you take that from the Digital Switchover Fund is a separate question. Can I give an opportunity to the rest of the panel?
Just on the whole issue of taxation and subsidy. Yes, it's a truism that if there was a lot of money available, some of these things would happen and the rest of it. But there's a very great danger in the dangled carrot of subsidy. If you're not careful, there's an expression, chilling investment and slowing things down, and that's what happens. There's no reason, for instance, why Newquay shouldn't have been wired up at the same time as the plans for Chippenham, but it wasn't because there was money available, potentially money available to subsidise it. So there's a very, very careful balance, I think, between getting the environment right to allow companies like us to provide a perfectly reasonable service. There is no reason at all that I'm looking on wanting or needing a subsidy for Birch Green in Hertford, in Luton, in Peterborough, or in a number of the other areas that we've looked at. What needs to be done is to remove the barriers, look at how far this penetration can go without direct subsidy, but with the right environment in which to do it, and then look at the subsidy later. Subsidy is a very, very dangerous thing. It inevitably causes distortions that people ultimately don't want. It is a truism that everybody wants a Rolls Royce for nothing. It's a truism. It's not practical. One has to look at what is realistically available, and the models which end up being sustainable without subsidy are the ones that are actually long-term. They will endure. That's the important thing, is to get the framework right to allow proper investment to be made. Every time I've come across a situation where there's subsidy involved, there's always, the law of unintended consequences comes in, and there's some other distortion that comes in. First generation broadband, it was destroying all the Wi-Fi, all the wireless people. There were services around Cornwall and other places where there were perfectly reasonable networks there, because the big issue was made of it. Those businesses, quite wrongly in my view, disappeared.
Okay, thank you. Bill, can we... All right, sir, we're gonna. This isn't a conversation about windmills. Could we please bring in Bill, perhaps to talk on some of the issues raised around BT? Or,
I'd be very happy to come up to Lincolnshire and talk about it, because we're not known for cutting and running. But as I said, it's BillMurphy.com. So bill.murphy@bt.com. If you drop me a note, I'll come up and see you. All right. As far as Lindsay, we do want to address the rural areas. We've put out a big marker for what we are going to do. We're not stopping there. Don't walk out of this room thinking that we have turned our back or don't want to participate. And the proposal we've put in, based on what Rory's asked us to do in the county, all right, is something that will put you in a very unique position and will be open and competition ready, and will work and will be deliverable. And in that, we might not be able to get everywhere. As the prices go up quite high, over 70, get to 70, 80% of the county. But the fact of the matter is we can cover a wide part of it, and that becomes a building block. You know, Barry's ideas were interesting. I think it's worth some exploration. I think it's very hard, though, to marry up bespoke networks with mass market networks, especially with how people use them, how businesses use it, how citizens use it, how they change, how they bill, how they move when you stop a service. All right, but it's worth exploring, you know, because at the end of the day, we're in that phase right now. That's two of them, I think. I don't know if I missed any others, but.
Did we miss just remind us of the Cumberland News question again, please?
One person was
Free
asking,
services.
was about free access to the network, and the other was about the military installations having come.
Okay, we'll do free access to the network to Bill, and then we'll give the military to Barry.
I'll pass on the free. You know, I mean, I don't understand the question, to be honest with you, because, you know, I don't think there's anybody on the panel that can do anything for free.